What is up, everyone? 2 minutes in the box with Gordo. We are finally back after a long, long hiatus. Sorry for the delay because my previous laptop, had some issues and problems, but we finally got the upgrades we needed. All right, let's get to business, shall we? So, this is today, January 24th, 2025. We got some news. We got a lot of catch up to do, but we got to play the catch up stuff tomorrow. But first, let's get to my opinions of the day since it's Friday. Okay, so now the first is the Buffalo Sabres. All right. They are a basement dwelling team again. Not a surprise. I'm not surprised. They haven't made the playoffs since 2011. I mean, that's been a long time. And I feel like the Buffalo Sabres have switched places with the Buffalo Bills in a Freaky Friday mode. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they did not make the playoffs for 17 years from 2000 to 2017. And they finally made the playoffs. And they are finally a contending team, and they are in the AFC Championship game for the third or fourth time since Kim and Terry Bagula have been running the Bills. And as for the Buffalo Sabres, they have missed the playoffs. This is going to be the 14th straight year. It's a record. I believe that they broke the record and it's never going to be broken. And I mean, the Buffalo Sabres have a well respected history in the game of hockey. And this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. They could have won a cup or two by now. They had the talent. They had Ryan O'Reilly. You had Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart. You had a great building blocks of talented players. And it just seems that it doesn't work out that way. And they just trade them all away. And guess what happens? Stanley Cup champion, Ryan O'Reilly. Jack Eichel, Stanley Cup champion. Sam Reinhart, Stanley Cup champion. Who knows? Who's next? Owen Power. Owen Power, the number one overall pick who played at the University of Michigan, 6'6", has played for the Buffalo Sabres since the 21-22 season after leaving University of Michigan in his sophomore year. And I'll say this. He's got talent, and I've heard the trade rumors and the trade talks. It's ridiculous. The guy's got talent, and he's got a crappy team around him. And I'll say this, he's got a $58 million 7-year contract extension. Who on earth in their right mind would take his contract right now? And his cap hit is at 8.35 mil, and he's a UFA in 2031. Who in their right mind? And I'd say, Owen Power is a talented offensive defenseman, but he needs to get physical. We all know that he's got the size and all. I mean, he's got the no physical savage beatings, just like Chris Pronger did to his opponents back in the day. And if the Sabres do this, this will be a big mistake on the blue line. I like the combo Ramis Dahlin and Owen Power. I love it, but why on earth would you want to trade Owen Power? Trying to get something in huge return, it's not going to end well. It's like Wile E. Coyote trying to beat the Roadrunner, Tom trying to beat Jerry. We all know it's a dumb plan. And look at his numbers this year. He's already tied in career high in goals, 6 goals, 18 assists, 24 points, a minus 11, but the minus 11 is not that sexy. But his plus minus in his first 3 years were a plus 3 in his 8 games in 21-22, a plus 10 in 22-23, a plus 8 in 23-24. That was just last year. He is producing well. He had 35 in his first full year, 33 the next season. This year, he is on a verge of breaking the record. He's going to be a point, somewhat a, let's see, he's on verge of getting 45 points this year. 45 points. You can't trade this guy. I mean, what are you, high? Are you stupid? Why would you trade a player in Owen Power? Why would you trade him? I mean, the Buffalo Sabres, like it's just a colossal dumpster fire. It's never ending for them. It's like what has happened to this world in the last 4 or 5 years. Incompetence and stupidity. I would not want to trade Owen Power. You know, just talk to him. Lindy Ruff, you've been there before with the Sabres. You've got to tell Owen to get his act together, play physical. You've got the offensive genius and the high IQ. You need to play physical. Olivia Newton John, let's get physical, all right? Get it together, play with physical and sacrifice. Play the body, hit someone, just beat the crap out of someone. I don't care. You've got to stand up and play with physical presence. I mean, you finally scored a power play goal in 209 games in your career. One power play goal. You got to step it up, my man. You've got to step it up because I don't know if this is going to be too late or not, but Owen Power needs to step up his game. Okay, now I'm done ranting on that part. All right, now we got to talk about a major free agency signing in Tony DeAngelo, the New York Islanders, on a 1 year, $775,000 contract. This guy has had his controversies on and off the ice, but let's just say this. I like the guy. I don't care what the critics say and the fans and the writers about his political views. I don't care. He's my type of player. This guy can actually play. I mean, he had his struggles with the Carolina Hurricanes last year with 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points. And the prior to that, when he was in Philadelphia, 11 goals, 31 assists, 42 points. Then with Carolina Hurricanes, 10 goals, 41 assists, 51 points. And then 2019-20 during the scam, whatever, demic, whatever you want to call it, but 53 points, 15 goals, 38 assists, 53 points. That man can move the puck. He's a puck moving defenseman. He's a power play specialist. The New York Islanders are looking for a power play specialist. This year in the KHL, he had 6 goals, 26 assists, 32 points in 34 games. Now, that, my friends, right there is a man who's redeemed himself and he is ready to play and come back to the NHL. He had a plus 15 when he was in Carolina, a plus 30. This guy is ready to play in the NHL. Who cares what his political beliefs are? Who cares about his on and off ice BS? Who cares? The guy can play. He is ready to help the Islanders out on the back end. And I'll say this. I remember trying to get Brian Rafalski to play with the New York Islanders back in 2013-14. It was going to happen, but unfortunately, due to the fact that he blew his back out, the deal was canceled. And I'm going to say that Tony DeAngelo, he is going to definitely help out in the back end. And would he get a new contract? Perhaps or perhaps not. The guy can play. Let's just see where this goes in the second half of the season. We are at the halfway point, people. We're at the halfway point of the second half of the NHL season. This guy is ready for an NHL comeback. I take this opportunity and chance for him to play again. Now let's talk about the Four Nations Cup. All right, I don't really care. It's stupid. You only got 4 teams: USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland. Yawn. Boring. It looks like a perfect time for me to take a vacation from watching hockey for the next 2 weeks. I would love my friends who were in this whole tournament. Anyone in the Florida Panthers, New York Islanders, I mean, congratulations, but I just don't care about this tournament. It's another way to burn out players who are seeking another Stanley Cup. Look at the Florida Panthers. 8 players on that are on playing this tournament. I think this is an intentional way to burn this team out from preventing them to repeat as Stanley Cup champs and going back to the Cup Finals for a third straight year. I am not a fan of this. This is stupid. I would only watch if this were more enticingly entertaining. You need like Russia and Czechia and and a young team and a multicultural like, Switzerland and Italy and Slovakia type, you need something like to grab my attention. This whole thing is stupid. This Four Nations Cup is stupid. I mean, like try to do it like what they did in 2016. Now, that hockey right there was fun to watch. It was entertaining and there was none of the political BS. I prefer the 2016 World Cup idea instead of this four nations, four teams. It's stupid. The ticket sales are not doing as well as they're advertising. I don't care. This is a dumb way of advertising, and I don't care who wins this one. I really don't. This is a stupid idea. This is going to be a one-off, and I believe that they're going to address this in the next collective bargaining agreement talks. But now, Brad Marchand at it again. He's a domestic abuser when it comes to of his, antagonist way of playing on the ice. I mean, he's a kisser. He rubs his nose in it. Last night, he chokes Nick Cousins barehanded like he's Latrell Sprewell and PJ Clarissimo. Come on. Are you kidding me, Marsh? Are you kidding me? Are you stupid? Are you trying to be like Milan Lucic? Dude, you're just pathetic. You're just so embarrassingly pathetic. You know, Nick Cousins won a cup. He kicked your ass 2 years in a row in the playoffs, and you're going after him just because you're trying to change the momentum of the game. I know you guys won, but who cares what you did? Like you don't choke someone barehanded. That's just a dick move on my part. That is just plain dumb. All right, now let's talk about the NHL expansion update. Okay, we all know it, like last month, I somehow walked right into the NHL Board of Governors meetings at the Breakers of West Palm. So, I saw Anson Carter and his group. They kept it on the hush. They just want to show that they're there to show them the update saying, yeah, we're still involved, and we just want to give them an update saying, yeah, everything's going smoothly fine. And then Vernon Krause's group up in Forsyth, those locations are like 8 minutes away from each other. The Forsyth, Bobby Orr was in attendance when they made a major approval on a certain situation on the vote, and they are one step closer of building that property. And I believe that Atlanta Thrashers will be coming back, but they'll be playing the suburbs. I mean, hey, the Atlanta Braves got out of downtown Atlanta, out of Turner Field, and they are having the best attendance record since they're them like forever. Like they've been around since the 60s, but playing north of the suburbs where their demographic season ticket holders are. Brilliant move. I mean, it would work for hockey for the Thrashers. I mean, it's a nightmare to go from, the suburbs of Buckhead down to Atlanta. I mean, the commute's a nightmare. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why the Thrashers failed in Atlanta. Horrible attendance because of the commute, incompetent ownership that they just completely abandoned. They just abandoned the team. And they just had bad luck and a crappy expansion draft. Overall, I feel Atlanta is ready for a third time. Third time's the charm, people. Third time is the charm. Now we got to go to Houston. Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Houston Rockets, he's playing it very conservatively and cautiously that Houston is, they have the arena. They updated their ice making machine. They updated somewhat of the Toyota Center, and he is ready. But is the price tag scaring him off? That's the main reason why he's been very cautious about the expansion draft and his expansion idea. I believe Houston will be in Atlanta will be the two teams that be coming in. And the NHL is needing the revenue. They are going to be expecting to make $6.5–7 billion this year. And the TV ratings, in hockey in the United States, especially in the Sun Belt states, is booming like crazy. I would like to see this happen down the road. But first, they got to get a collective bargaining agreement signed. And then the other two markets, we know Phoenix is going to come back. Gary Bettman is chomping at the bit saying, yeah, I want them back. The way the Coyotes left was very unceremoniously controversial. Alex Merlo, he was a con artist. He skipped town and he just basically gave up on the Coyotes and the property building. And and the word around the street that I heard at the Board of Governors meetings is that Matt Ishbia and his group are in the talks with Maricopa County Supervisor Tom Galvin. Tom Galvin has assembled political and business leaders and has spoken to Gary Bettman several times on Zoom since the last month and during the Christmas holiday in December before Christmas Eve. Yeah, they've been in communications. I won't be surprised that Ishbia comes up lurking along with his brother. Those two are in the talks of buying the Minnesota Twins, but I don't see them buying the Twins at all. They're going to get the Yotes. They're going to get them back. They're going to temporarily play at Footprint Center, and then they're going to build a brand new facility, you know, in Maricopa, somewhere in Maricopa County. They got to do a renovation on that one end, at Footprint Center just to make it feasible and doable temporarily for the Coyotes' return to the Valley. All right. And then the last market, boy, it's been a tough one. It's been tough. I mean, we already know the big three markets that have the TV markets and the revenue stream, but it's going to be a tricky one. Quebec City could have been a slam dunk, but due to economic reasons in the Canadian dollar, Canada really shot themselves in the foot politically and economically. They really shot themselves in the foot. I know you guys are diehards, but the Canadian dollar isn't going to be friendly for this one. And the Nordiques, I don't think they will ever return in the National Hockey League. It sucks. You have a great arena, you got a passionate fan base, but the money is in the south of the border in the United States. And I've been hearing it's Cincinnati, Ohio. They've been looking at a brand new arena since Riverfront Arena. I don't know what they call it these days. They know it's obsolete and dated. They've had a hockey history with the World Hockey Association, the IHL, the AHL, the ECHL, but they need a brand new arena. There's a private group in Cincinnati in talks with the local leaders in Cincinnati and potentially building an arena across the bridge into Kentucky to build a brand new facility for the so-called new NHL expansion franchise. And would they have to pay a fee to neighbors an hour and a half, 2 hours away, Columbus, Ohio, the Blue Jackets? Would they have to pay the Blue Jackets a territorial fee? That is another question. And then the other market we've been hearing is Kansas City, Missouri. They have the arena, it's ready, but there's political interference. The Hunt family is interested, but they're skeptical and concerned about the price tag. And we've heard Patrick Mahomes is going to be the minority share partner of this potential expansion and return of the NHL in Kansas City. And then we've heard the biggest surprise is Omaha, Nebraska. You've got an arena that is completely ready, state of the art, been open since 2003. University of Nebraska Omaha Mavericks hockey team has played there from 2003 to 2015 when they built their own facility on campus. And Creighton basketball has been selling out like crazy. And I'll tell you, I've heard Warren Buffett's business associate, one of his, I can't name his names, but I know someone in Warren Buffett's inner circle is in charge of the potential NHL expansion in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, we know that Omaha is in the mix, which is a surprise. And Omaha has got a 800,000 population. And don't forget that they are could be the smallest TV market in the NHL and all major sports, besides, Green Bay and Winnipeg. But oh my, I mean, I am very shocked about Omaha. And the last one we've been hearing, it's San Diego, Portland, but who knows? I mean, like, who in the right mind has got the money? I mean, Bell Media in Canada, yeah, if they can get a second team in Toronto, great. They got a $4 billion of selling 35% of their shares in the Toronto from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And they could be lurking for any property to help out to be the last team that joins the NHL. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Toronto that or Quebec City and Quebecor gets the help from Bell Media with that $4 billion investment. But who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if that Bell company gets all their marbles, their poker chips in Nebraska, Cincinnati, or Kansas City. Yeah, that's what I've been hearing on that front. Now, Utah Hockey Club, new name. Oh, yeah. Everyone thought it's going to be Yeti. Yeah. Utah Yeti. It rolls off the tongue. It's sexy. It's awesome. But hold up. The courts in the patent office said no way due to confusion to the brand of the beverage and the coasters and, the containers or whatever they and clothes whatever, so they said no, you've got to go somewhere else with it because confusion and licensing issues. Now it's down to three team names. I like to say it's either Utah Venom, the Utah Outlaws, or the Mammoth. They roll off the tongue great, not bad. The blue, white, and black, but you know, yeah, there could be a minor tweak and adjustment. And hey, I just got a Utah Hockey Club jersey recently, and that right there is going to be a collector's item. And they will be like, if it comes to either Mammoth, Outlaws, or Venom, would be like, okay, works for me. I mean, it works. The name rolls off the tongue, and I really think it sucks that you can't use Yeti. It rolls off the tongue, but I mean, I love hockey club. I mean, but the Montreal Canadiens, they got the dibs first. It's been like that logo for 100 plus years, the HC, C with the Canadians and the H with the hockey, that's a Montreal Canadiens, Habs and all that stuff. But, just leave it either hockey club or go with the other three choices. And now Gary Bettman is on the verge of retiring. He's got a lot ahead of him in the next year and a half, 2 years. He has got to get a new collecting bargaining agreement done in 2026 with Marty Walsh. The meetings are going to be held in New York and in Toronto, or wherever for the like during the Four Nations Championship Cup, whatever you're going to call it. I would love to see something happen. Get a long-term CBA deal done. Get this thing happening. Preserve Gary Bettman's legacy. Make sure he can get the expansion revenue for the owners. This is the last hurrah for Gary Bettman. You got to get your Atlanta, Houston, Phoenix, and the last team that random team that joins the NHL. So it's going to be a 36 team league. Make sure that the owners get a piece of the pie with expansion with the players. And he's got to make sure that you got to get a new long-term media deal with ESPN and TNT. I really think that Gary Bettman needs to get it done. I'm predicting he's going to be retiring from the NHL 3-4 years from now, and we all know, Bill Daly is going to be the next commissioner. He is the guy at the batter's box waiting to make sure he's the next man to stand up. But I pray to God that I hope the players don't take advantage of him like how the NBA and Major League Baseball. I mean, Major League Baseball has been a disaster since Bud Selig retired. Same thing with David Stern and also Roger Goodell. I mean, like, I'm not a fan of those guys. I love Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman, he's done a terrific job growing the game in the NHL. And I believe that, he generated a lot of interest in hockey, and he's built the game. Like Gretzky started with the trade to LA from Edmonton, and Gary Bettman, you know, was part two in the sequel. And I believe that the NHL is ready for a change of batter. But right now, Gary Bettman needs to get this collective bargaining agreement done with Marty Walsh, and he needs to get those four new markets in so they can preserve his legacy and the growth of hockey. And I wouldn't be surprised he'll be in the Hockey Hall of Fame down the road in the future. Yeah. So now we're going to go to TV ratings. TV ratings. I believe the NHL has done so much better than basketball recently. The NBA has done worse. I mean, the NBA's ratings have become like when Michael Jordan left. Now, the NBA, we told you to shut up and dribble, but you didn't listen. You try to be political and a lot of controversies off the court. I don't want to hear Popovich or Steve Kerr lecturing and LeBron lecturing to us about they're so delusional. They're out of touch. That's why they're 55% down the drain. And LeBron's association with Diddy, oh my God. And plus the NBA doesn't have a face of the league anymore. It's all international, it's very European, and none of the American viewers can relate to any of these guys. I mean, great players, but we can't relate to them. I believe that the NHL is slightly doing better than the NBA. The NHL is doing like I say, the NHL is slightly doing better in the ratings, and it's more recognizable and it's more relatable, and they're so humble. The NBA, not so much, not so much. We didn't want to be lectured, and that's what happens. You lost nearly 60% of your viewers because your political beliefs and your lecturing and all that crap. That's why you guys lost, and hockey is doing much better than you guys. And remember that Sports Illustrated cover in 1994, with the Knicks and the Rockets and the Canucks and the Rangers, and they said, "Why is hockey so hot and the NBA is not?" We're actually seeing it fruition to happen again. Hockey is making a major comeback in the States after years of struggle and the lockout that killed the 04-05 season. Now we're going to see that hockey is done so much better in its recent run than the NBA. And now the other thing is that we got a major problem in the outdoor game. Earlier this month or New Year's Eve, whatever, the St. Louis Blues were playing Chicago Blackhawks at Wrigley Field. Yawn. Here we go again. We've seen these two teams play before, and they went to Wrigley, and they played the game on New Year's Eve just so because there wouldn't be a schedule or conflict of interest between the college football playoffs and all. And they only drew 920,000 viewers on a Tuesday on New Year's Eve. I mean, that just sucked. I mean, you had two crappy teams, and Connor Bedard, you know, I mean, that's your attraction. I mean, there's no plot to it. It's just it's just like, the Cubs and the Cardinals playing in the wintertime. It's just boring hockey. And they weren't compelling. The Blackhawks are the basement of the league, and the Blues are like middle of the pack in the Central Division. And it's like, boy, these guys suck. It's just like blah, blah, blah. It's not compelling enough. It didn't work. And now they're going to do an outdoor game, a stadium series game, which is going to be more exciting. It's going to be the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets in Columbus, and it's Michigan and Ohio State. But the colors are reversed. The Blue Jackets were in blue, the Red Wings are wearing red. How coincidentally ironic and iconic that is, but I'll say this. It's going to be more entertaining than that Snotsville, Snoozeville garbage. And next year, we got two outdoor games in the state of Florida. Hopefully, the ice doesn't melt in Tampa Bay, but the first one on the 2nd of January, it's the Florida Panthers at Lone Depot Ballpark, 2 miles away from the original site of Miami Arena, which is a complete park now. Now they're playing against the New York Rangers. I'm going to say it's going to be a sold out crowd. It's going to be mainly Ranger fans, but Florida Panther fans and hockey fans all over North America, around the world. Make sure that you buy tickets when the ticket sales come available. Buy tickets and make sure you're outnumber any New York Ranger fan because who doesn't want those fans there? It would be nice for the to have the home team to have more fans than the visiting fans. And it's obvious, with the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're going to be playing out of Raymond James Stadium the following month in February 1st against the Boston Bruins. But here's the question. I mean, hey, back in the day, the Lightning played 3 years at the Trop, aka the Thunderdome. I mean, that would have been beneficial, but the Hurricane Milton came in and took the roof away, and now you got to play at Raymond James Stadium. And like they've done it before with the ice technology in LA at Dodger Stadium. It could work, and same thing with Santa Clara with the Sharks did with where the Niners played. But let's just see how that works out. That right there, my friends, is going to be a fun outdoor games next season. And boy, I mean, they're going to be sweating quicker than NASCAR drivers, racing around, racing around. They're going to be losing like 15, 20 pounds of fluid. Yeah, but luckily the Panthers are playing indoors. Yeah, so hopefully the ratings come in better next year. Now, Mika Rantanen. Mika Rantanen, the highly touted free agent for the Colorado Avalanche. And they're thinking about trading him. And there is there is the talk of him being traded to a team that is looking to get a sign. We're going to see a sign and trade. We will see a sign and trade. And Mika Rantanen, he's got so far in his career, based on the, like his whole career, 570 games in the NHL, 262 goals, 355 assists, 617 points. He's had 200-point seasons back to back. And this year right now, he's on his contract year. He's got a plus 12 with 25 goals, 39 assists, 64 points. He is a top five player in the NHL. And he is going to be a very tough negotiator. And they're expecting 14, $15 million cap hit on this guy. And there's talks of Colorado trading him to the Islanders, the Blackhawks, and the Ducks. If I were Colorado, I would love to be compensated for this because I would hate the risk of losing a talented player like Mikko Rantanen. And Connor Bedard needs a legit sidekick. He's got no one. I mean, no offense to Tyler Bertuzzi and Taylor Hall, but Mikko Rantanen will help Bedard out tremendously as a new 1-2 punch. I mean, are you kidding? This guy's got the tools in the toolkit. He's one of the best players out there for free agent. Pay the man, Chicago. He is ready for a big payday. If you bring him in, and then you can get him a max contract. You can pay him. But you got Zach Jones, though. Is Zach Jones going to get traded as well? Zach Jones is on the trade block for the Chicago Blackhawks. And can that actually happen with Rantanen coming in so the Blackhawks can be like, okay, we got Bedard's new winger, and now we're going to be a very lethally dangerous team. And we got a Stanley Cup champ that's going to help Bedard out. And he's got a lot of work with it. And hey, I mean, Mika Rantanen will be a perfect fit with the Blackhawks. But let's just see how this trade's going to work out. Can they pull this trade off either at the deadline or at the draft? I mean, I would personally would love to see a trade to go happen like at the draft. Do a sign and trade, Kachuk Huberto style, when Kachuk got his big payday, and then Mayday, Stanley Cup champ, and Huberto is having a bounce back year. Yeah, and I really think Mikko Rantanen will be traded at the draft, a sign and trade at the draft to the Chicago Blackhawks, 8-year, 14 or $15 million on average. If you did the math correctly, according to his number and his agent, if we get a $15 million contract per year, 8 years, You're going to give the guy $120 million, and then you got to get Connor Bedard a big contract extension. That is the key right there for Mika Rantanen in the long run. And I'll tell you, Chicago, I hope that you got a lot of players to fill in that void. Colorado's looking for compensation, guys. They are looking for compensation, and they cannot afford to lose one of their best players. Now, the last topic of the day. The last topic of the day is Jonathan Toews. Is he coming back to the NHL? Sources around his camp and his family and friends that half the COVID stuff was true. Half of it was true, but the real story was back in 2019-20, Jonathan Toews sustained a major concussion and he wasn't the same player. And what hurt besides his head was his heart. His heart was broken by his longtime girlfriend that became his fiance. His fiance straight up walked out on him. That sucked. That really sucked. Captain Sirius got his heart broken, and he wasn't the same player after not 20 after he didn't play in 2021 and from 21, 22, 22, 23, he wasn't the same Jonathan Toews. He was not the same. His heart was broken, his mind was in another place. So he basically just took a long hiatus from hockey. He's done the eat, pray, and love idea of going to India, getting his mind and soul back on track medically, physically, mentally. And there's been talks of him coming back this season, either to the Winnipeg Jets, the Edmonton Oilers, Toronto Maple Leafs, the Dallas Stars. I don't see that happening. I believe it's too late in the season. Let's get Jonathan well and get back to his playing shape and his heart and soul and his mind. I believe that Jonathan Toews, if I were going to predict this, I'm going to predict this right now. He will get a PTO with the Winnipeg Jets coming 25-26 season, and he'll make the team out of camp and he'll get a 1 year deal with some incentives and bonuses along with it. And he could be a very valuable piece to that Winnipeg Jets squad, or he can go to Edmonton to help McDavid and Draisaitl to be the third line center. And hell, I mean, if that happens, if he goes to Edmonton, Oilers win the Stanley Cup. If they can get another defenseman to help out, boy oh boy, the Edmonton Oilers will be Stanley Cup champs in 2026. And then we got a potential lockout, but who knows? Yeah. So, all right. I'd like to thank everyone viewing in 2 minutes in the box with Gordo. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the second half of the season and my surprises and disappointments. I am happy to be back on the air. Thank you, everyone. God bless you guys. Have a great day.